What's going on, everybody? Marc Farzy here for the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, DestinationRetirement.com. Coming to you from the Steven Singer Studios. Amy Fadool joins the show today to talk about all things 76ers draft. If you haven't been following, Amy, as well as Marc Jackson on NBC Sports Philadelphia, have been laying out a 76ers blueprint. Literally, they call the show the Blueprint. And it's all about how the Sixers can get back to, I don't know, maybe the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 20-some years. So there you go. You can look at that. You can find some of those clips on the old YouTube for NBC Sports Philadelphia. And then they will, of course, have coverage tonight on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com for the NBA Draft. Sixers pick at number 23 as for now. But Adrian Wojnarowski has some news about that, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Phillies yesterday lost a baseball game, and that baseball game, I could only think of this, and I think about this a lot whenever I see a team play defensively as poorly as the Phillies did yesterday. I remember when I was a kid, I had a coach, Coach Campbell, and if we were his basketball, and he would always say if we were installing a new offense, he would say, all right, guys, just come out here and play some token defense where this is about the offense and learning to play the offense. And I didn't know, like, I'm a kid. I didn't know what token meant. So I'm just like, whatever the hell that means. So I'm still playing hard. And he's like, Farzetta, calm it down. And I'm like, okay, Coach Cam, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's token defense. And I'm like, does that mean I don't try hard? He's like, exactly. So I slowed down. I played much below the level of my defensive prowess, of course, and that's where I learned the term token defense. And whenever I see a team play as slow as the Phillies played yesterday, or as poorly as the Phillies played yesterday, defensively speaking, I think of that wonderful moment, that teaching moment I had as a child, where I learned what token defense was. Because it sure as hell looked like the Phillies were playing token defense yesterday in the field, especially Nick Castellanos, especially Rhys Hoskins. What the hell, fellas? I'm not a Rhys Hoskins is this lightning rod of a player in Philadelphia. And the only reason he's a lightning rod of a player in Philadelphia is because he's a homegrown guy. Two reasons. Homegrown guy who was belting home runs the second he got to the majors and set an extremely high bar for himself. That's why he's a lightning rod guy. Since that moment when he came in and hit, 11 home runs in 18 days, that is when a lot of people say, this guy's so great. That's where they rated him. So now a lot of people look at him and they go, oh, well, he's overrated. I look at Rhys Hoskins as a guy who's rated. I look at him as a guy who's not going to be some perennial all-star. He's certainly not going to be some gold glover there at first base. He's going to be a guy to hit you between 250 and 275 in his career, with between a 350 and maybe a 380 on base percentage with some luck. That's what he's going to be. That's where I rate Rhys Hoskins as. That's where I rate him at. And yesterday, he has an opportunity in that first inning to turn a double play with, yes, a sharply hit ground ball to him, but a sharply hit ground ball directly at him that hits him in the mitt. That should have been a double play. And instead, 2 on, nobody out. Runs end up scoring in the inning on Zach Wheeler. And then a little fate when the Phillies actually make a good defensive play in the third inning. A run had already scored, but they upped the pitch total on Zach Wheeler by 22 pitches, I believe it was, in that third inning, after JT Realmuto and Zach Wheeler combined for what should have been a strike him out, throw him out double play. And instead, they don't call the check swing a swing at home plate. They end up calling ball 4, puts 2 runners on, and 22 pitches later, the Phillies finally get out of that inning. And then Nick Castellanos and that egregious play in the outfield. Now, this is the play that actually happened in the first inning. So let's rewind for a second there. Excuse me. After the Rhys Hoskins error at first base, a runner scored from first base on a single up the middle. They had runners going, or they had the runner going on the pitch, so it was a little hit and run action there. I believe it was a 1-2 count with Brad Miller at the plate. Good old Bamboo Brad. And Nick Castellanos and Odubel Herrera, I guess, were playing on the warning track because it took about an hour and a half for them to just come into the frame to even field the damn baseball. And the Rangers are chugging it around the bases, and they score on that play. I must have watched that play 100 times. It was the type of thing that at the end of the inning, I went back and I watched it again and I go, how the hell did that happen? Obviously, the runner was going on the pitch. But how do you get to that ball that slowly and then lollygag a throw in to Bryson Stott, who's playing second base in this situation, who then has no chance whatsoever of throwing the runner out at home? That is basic fundamentals of baseball. And Nick Castellanos looked like he was caught so far off guard. And he has the runner right there in his sights to know that he is taking off on at the pitch. Hit and run is on. So you know everything has to be hustle. Everything has to be fast. Everything has to be expedited. And Nick Castellanos reminded me of the scene in Bulldor. Lollygagging around there in right field. And I know he's not out there as a Gold Glover. We know when the Phillies signed Kyle Schwarber and they signed Nick Castellanos, said, all right, well, defense might be a bit of a problem for this team, but not like that. A runner scoring from first base on that, regardless of hit and run, is embarrassing. And the Phillies now have their first 3-game losing streak since they lost 5 in a row in May. And to lose in that fashion is ridiculous. And yes, the umpires, sure, they had some bad calls, right. But I liked what Rob Thompson had to say after the game. You have to be able to absorb that and move on. You have to be able to absorb that and overcome. Don't let it knock you down. Don't let it get you down. Absorb and keep moving forward. And the Phillies were able to do that yesterday. And I don't understand what the hell Nick Castellanos. And then, look, the play where, who was it? Calhoun was trying to leg it out to a triple. Nick Castellanos' poor defense probably actually helped him because if he actually slides and gets that baseball, he probably Calhoun gets a double, so he's standing on second base instead of actually throwing him out at third. So his poor defense actually probably helped him in that situation. But still, you would like to see your right fielder be able to cover some ground. Hell, you'd like to see your center fielder be able to cover that ground as well. But it wasn't happening yesterday. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe what I'm watching. I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't think it was going to be Drek. And if it was Drek, the other thing that you're supposed to be looking at here is the fact that Nick Castellanos is supposed to be raking at the plate, and that hasn't been the case. Since the start of the year, you've watched Nick Castellanos, here are the numbers, go from hitting 300 in April and about 80 at-bats to hitting 234 in May to 203 in June. And during that same span, his on-base percentage has gone from 374 to 275 to 268. And he hasn't hit a home run in almost a month. You know, we do the versus game question on this show here. Maybe my next question will be, will Nick Castellanos go a full month without hitting a home run? Because he hasn't hit a home run, since the 30th of May. It's June 23rd. No bueno. JT Realmuto, who actually I think made a good defensive play in this game, but he was robbed of it by the umpire, and, you know, it is what it is, hitting 224 in the month of June. This isn't good. And when you go back to Castellanos, for instance, this is a guy that's a 276 career hitter. What are you supposed to be doing with this? And during the game, when I'm watching him at the plate look lost and miss pitches, and I'm not talking about missed pitches as he swings and misses, because that's happened too, but I'm talking about pitches that you're used to seeing him drive throughout his career. Pitches that helped him hit 34 home runs last year for the Mets and hit 308 and become an all-star. He is missing those pitches, pop-ups, ground-outs, foul tips, whatever it might be. You're not watching him get that solid contact. And as I'm watching him struggle, and as we've all been watching him struggle for the last 2 months, it's like, do you just give this guy a mental break? Do you say take a seat? Do you have Matt Vierling out there in the field? Do you just give Nick Castellanos a day or two off just to get away from it for a second? Hey, you guys are going to San Diego. Hey, Nick, just sit on the beach for a while, man. Go get yourself a fish taco. Go to the Sunshine Company. Sit down, relax. Get a taco from the taco van that drives into that bar. Literally drives into the bar. It's freaking awesome. And you just enjoy yourself a nice mahi-mahi, whatever. Get away from baseball. Get away from the game. And after the game, I heard Ricky Bo say the same thing. Yeah, what are you going to do with this guy at this point? You got to hit the reset button somehow to try to get him going again, to get anything close to the player in Nick Castellanos that John Middleton talked about, that Dave Dombrowski talked about. There was one guy that they're willing to go over the luxury tax for, that was Nick Castellanos. Right now, does it look like a guy worthy of going over the luxury tax? Not so much. A lot of guys are struggling right now. Here is Rob Thompson after the game when he was asked about Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, and Didi Gregorius with some of the struggles they're going through and how you have patience for something like that. Matt Gelb with the question.
Castellanos and JT and Didi in some prolonged slumps. What's your level? How much more patience do you have with guys who have those kind of track records?
You gotta have a lot of patience. You know, just keep talking to them. You know, sometimes they need a day just to, you know, just to settle down a little bit. But I think you gotta have a lot of patience. And it's not that they're not working. You know, we had optional VP today, and almost everybody was out in the field hitting. So, you know, they're working on it. They're giving it their best, that's for sure.
I have no doubt in my mind that they are giving it their best shot at the plate. Nick Castellanos, we knew he was a bad fielder. I didn't think he was a dreadful fielder. Good Lord, it hasn't been exactly a great showing for him in the field. But if you're going to get anything from him from the plate, I think he does need that break. I think he does need that time to just get away from it for a second and be like, all right, let me just try to hit the reset button here and try to start over. I like the fact that everyone's out there for early batting practice. That's good. That's a good sign, at least, that they're trying to at least do something different. Oh, it's optional batting practice, and almost everybody's out, like Rob Thompson just said. All right, good. First step in solving a problem is acknowledging you have a problem. So right now, the Phillies at least know they have a problem. Nick Castellanos knows he has a problem. He's trying to fix it. Yeah, it's the fleeting moment there in Washington where he actually looked like he might be putting it together. He might be figuring it out finally. Kyle Schwarber gives him a ringing endorsement. And then since then, it's just been more of the same. 203 in June is a batting average of a guy that's supposed to be raking, and it ain't happening. Come on, man. This Phillies lineup is supposed to be a little bit more consistent. Well, Bryce Harper's trying to figure it out, coming off of his couple of days away because of the infection and the blister in his finger and all that, or in his hand. That is something that, you know, you need other guys to step up. Kyle Schwarber stepped up yesterday with a 2-run home run. You needed that. Where are the rest of the guys in this lineup stepping up to try to help this team win? I mean, this is how, when the Phillies were winning 9 in a row, when they're winning whatever, when they're 14-4 like they are now, even 14-2, like when they're going through that whole thing, you had other guys in this lineup picking up for guys that were not producing. Matt Vierling, Bryson Stott, we've talked about this a lot. And now those guys aren't doing it. Now it's like, all right, Bryce, you got us, right? All right, Schwarber, you got us, right? Okay, cool. We'll just keep riding your coattails to these victories. And that's not how it's going to work. That's not how you're ever going to get past the Braves in the standings. That's not how it's going to happen. Philly's still 3 games out of a wild card spot now in the National League. So, you know, hopefully they turn it on against the Padres, who haven't exactly dipped since Manny Machado has had a little boo-boo. So we'll see what happens with all that. Phillies are back at it tonight. 9:40 start time. 9:40 start time out there in San Diego as they start that 4-game series, I believe it is. And yes, I'll say it, San Diego. Ranger Suarez, by the way, is also getting the start for the Phillies tonight. I can't get over, it's going to take me a while. I might have to go back and watch it. Yeah, 4-game series. I might have to go back a couple of times and watch that play again in the first inning, scoring from first on a ground ball up the middle. Credit to the Rangers for being aggressive. The judgment I was going to have on that play was how Nick Castellanos came up with the baseball. Because I didn't have faith in him making it to the ball quickly, because he's not exactly fleet of foot. And when he came up and did that little look, like what's happening, and had that little weak ass throw to Bryson Stott, I went, yeah, that guy's scoring. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. This is fun. We're all having fun here. Sixers Pick at number 23 tonight, at least for right now. Adrian Wojnarowski. Malika Andrews throws it to him yesterday and says, Woj, I'm going to start with you. What are you thinking for the NBA draft? Woj, without missing a beat, a lot of trades. Things are going to be moving. He even said how teams are really starting to look at the draft right now as if the way we used to look at free agency, where guys are re-signing with clubs, getting that max contract, and then they're being traded a couple of years later, maybe a year later, after they decide, you know what, I don't feel too good about this. I don't want to be in this situation anymore. Trade me. And then the team is forced to trade that player for pennies on the dollar because every other team knows that they're being held hostage at that point. Cool. So right now, the Sixers are in an interesting situation. And I think most people do not want the Sixers to pick at 23. I think most people want the Sixers to trade the rights to the 23rd overall pick in order to get them some type of veteran presence in this lineup. Some type of veteran presence on the bench even. And I am all for that. Stories came out yesterday about how Matisse Thybulle and the 23rd overall pick weren't going to be here just because of some kind of salary dump to create space for PJ Tucker. Good, because Thybulle isn't exactly making $30 million a year, so I don't know what cap space you're really filling up with that, or freeing up with that. So as far as I'm concerned, great, because that's not the move anyway. The move is to make sure you get some veteran help. The move shouldn't be to dump cap. The move should be to get better. So that's where the Sixers need to be at this point in time, and apparently that's where they're at. I still don't think they make that pick. I don't want them to make that pick. I want them to make that pick for somebody else. And the Sixers be a better basketball team immediately, not waiting for it to groom somebody, not waiting for Jovic or whatever for him to come around to be a backup center at some point to Joel Embiid. I want somebody to come in here right now and make this team immediately better. That's what I need. And that's what the Sixers need. If they're serious about not wasting the time of Joel Embiid, the prime time of Joel Embiid's career, that's what they'll do tonight. And I think that's why Daryl Morey has been so aggressive in trying to package this 23 overall pick, this 23rd overall pick, in order to get something back that will actually help you right now. Whether that is leaving a little bit of cap space and still making your bench better, or that's just leaving in a cap space and getting PJ Tucker in here. However, that'll go down. By the way, I will say, I am curious to see what that 3-year deal actually means. If it's a 2-year deal with an option for a number 3, I think that's a decent deal. And I don't want to pay that second year, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. When you think, or excuse me, I should say in the long run, 2 years. It'll be worth it because I still think PJ Tucker can give you this version of his game for a couple more years. I still want PJ Tucker here next year. If it takes the extra year and an option, I'm all for that. Because I think he'll still be able to give you a pretty decent defensive level and still be that dog on the bench next to Joel Embiid. I think the Sixers absolutely need that. They said as much at the end of last year. Amy Fadool will have more on that when we talk to her in just a minute. But NBA draft tonight, look forward to seeing what the Sixers have in store for us, and hopefully it'll be trading and not selecting for tonight. Let me tell you about the great people at Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Mike Seibert is a retirement income certified professional at Destination Retirement LLC and a proud partner of 1847 Financial and an advisor to Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies fans, and maybe with torts, the Flyers next year as well. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? The answer is have income streams in retirement. It only makes sense then to understand how retirement income streams work so that you can direct savings in ways that give you the highest income when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Is the objective just to get to the top of the mountain, or is the objective to get to the top of the mountain and then back down safely? Going up the mountain is your accumulation phase. Going down the mountain is your distribution phase. These are the two different phases of your financial life, and each should be addressed separately. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know that college is expensive. Well, have you ever thought about how it will affect your retirement? Let Mike show you an efficient way to help pay for your kids' college education and still retire on your own terms. Your first step is to avoid starting your growth cycle over by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college. You don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle and have to start over. You can't get that time back. Instead, set yourself up with the ability to use vehicles that you can take money out of without starting your growth cycle over again. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings, how your college savings can help your annual retirement savings. Michael, set up your own portal and retirement analyzer and then use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. For questions or to set up a meeting with Mike, you can email him at gobirds@1847financial.com. That's gobirds@1847financial.com. Or call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. You can also visit his website at destinationretirement.com. And as always, go Birds. How about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut? Do what I do, ladies and gentlemen, for all your jewelry purchases. See my man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, or online at IHateStevenSinger.com, where you get every day the perfect price guarantee. Some other people, oh, here's the promo code. Oh, don't forget your coupon. Oh, don't forget, we got a promotion. We got a sale going on. No promo code, no sale, no promotion. The promotion is actually every day. The perfect price is the promotion. So when you walk in, oh, you missed it. The sale was yesterday? No, that never happens to Steven Singer because the sale's every day with the perfect price. This way you know the person next to you is paying the same exact price that you're paying for that beautiful piece of diamond jewelry, that beautiful engagement ring, whatever it is. It's not marked way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks to see if you really work for it. It's marked at the perfect price every day. So you know you're getting the deal for Steven Singer with no haggling, no negotiating, and no pressure along the way. And a real jewelry expert will walk you through everything at Steven Singer Jewelers so you can see their beautiful, dazzling diamond inventory. So do what I do. Do what I tell my family to do, what I tell my friends to do. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line and talk to my good friend, Miss Amy Fadool. And joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, I lie every time I say I enjoy talking to any other guest, but the one person I really mean it is NBC Sports Philadelphia's own Amy Fadool. What's up, Aim?
Hey, Mark, it's so good to see you. It's always good to get that intro. I feel like I think you undersell it. So just next time, if you could really, really bring it about how much you enjoy my presence on your show.
I felt like, yeah, you're right. I gotta go for the top notch with my compliments and introductions. That's really what I'm sorry I undersold you. Amy, we were lucky enough to see each other. Michael Barkan's golf outing, of course, this past Monday for the Michael Barkan Family Foundation. I saw you. I saw Leslie Goodell. There's a picture floating around there on the old internet for people. It was so much fun and obviously a great cause. What's it like for you, the great Amy Fadool, to get teamed up with some random bunch of strangers and go play golf for a while?
Honestly, it's a blast. Our group was really, they were good. So I was a little nervous, but then I actually played well, so that was okay. But it's actually a lot of fun. I'm always nervous that people are so disappointed, like, oh, look at our celebrity. oh, look who else is here. Oh, Steve Spagnuolo's here. Oh, and who do you have? Amy Fadool. I'm like, ugh. But honestly, like they were great. They were big Sixers fans, and they were like, oh, they're asking all kinds of questions, and I always feel bad at these things. I played in the Mike Quick one earlier this summer, and our group was great there too, and they also were Sixers fans. Maybe they know what they're doing when they pair me, but I do kind of feel bad that when you see the other celebrities who are actual celebrities, and then it's like, cool, we get the chick that hosts Sixers pre and post. Great.
I show up, and the starter guy is looking at a list, I swear to you, and he goes, or Mr. Farzetta, okay, great. You're with Seth Joyner and Ricky Pitalico. And I go, someone didn't pay money to, like, play with those guys? What are you talking about? So I'm like, I see Ricky, and I'm like, hey, man, apparently you and I are together. He's like, cool. And I see Seth. He's like, oh, great. It'll be fun, because he's a cigar guy. I'm a cigar guy, Seth Joyner, And, yeah, it wasn't at all the case. I got paired up with 4 great guys that are from the same area that I am. They're Monco guys. I'm Bucks County guy. But we know a lot of the same people, whatever. But we did have a blast, and it was obviously for a great cause for the Barkan Family Foundation. Amy, I have been following you and Marc Jackson, another fellow Temple alum, Marc Jackson, with this great show, The Blueprint. You guys have some more installments coming up here, especially surrounding the NBA draft. What can you tell me and the audience, obviously, about Blueprint?
So Blueprint was the brainchild of our producer for Sixers pre and post, Brian Brennan, to kind of I don't know, umbrella our coverage for the off season, all the different things that they need to do, the blueprint, if you will, to make sure that they can get further than they have, let's face it, in over 2 decades, but certainly last year, after the frustration that everybody experienced, fans, front office, and obviously the team. So it was looking at 5 or 6 different things. You know, what does the future look for Tobias Harris? Is he going to be part of that type of formula for success? Matisse Thybulle was another one. Obviously, James Harden's contract and different things, Danny Green. So we were looking at a lot of different things. And obviously, Marc Jackson has that insight now as an analyst, but as a former player, he really gives that kind of little extra kind of behind the scenes as far as a guy that's been part of a lot of off seasons and been a part of a lot of off-season trades and mid-season trades. So he kind of gives that unique perspective on that. So we just wrapped up the last blueprint on Monday as far as looking ahead. And then now we'll wait for the draft, obviously, and see who the Sixers take at 23, if they take someone at 23, if they don't package it and do something crazy, which we all know the Sixers could do. And then we'll look ahead at some of the prospects and some of the draftees that they take and see how they're going to fit into the blueprint for the Sixers' success. Because honestly, you know, I was talking in the office today, and it's starting to feel like 2011, 2012 Phillies. And it gives me that bad vibe of like, like if we don't, we have a window, right? I mean, we all know we have the window. If the window isn't open as it used to be, it feels like it might be closed. And I don't want it to close. This window, though, with Joel Embiid, you know, it's not going to last forever. And it did kind of start to, like, with these, you know, I know we're going to talk about it, some of these names that are coming up. And I'm like, okay, that's a little grasping at straws. I feel like, you know, they all want certain players, and we get that. But, like, let's not overshoot just because you're trying to capitalize on one thing. Let's try to really build something sustainable. And that's where I got the 2012 Phillies vibes of that wasn't sustainable. They were just chasing lightning in a bottle after a while, and we all know what happened in the 10 years since.
Sure. And if you look back on that time, I know some people might be saying, well, at least they won a championship in 2008. Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. But they were supposed to do more than just one championship. And even guys like Jimmy Rollins have come out in recent years and said, we should have at least won 2 in that whole run that we had. And now it feels like the Sixers, as you said, have that window closing, and they might not have that championship. But in the effort of a blueprint, PJ Tucker is a name that's out there right now. The name that's attached to that, the number that's attached to that is a 3-year, $30 million deal, possibly for a 37-year-old PJ Tucker. I am looking at it as a rush situation where I'm going to look at that, and hopefully it's going to be team options for years 2 and 3. Right. Probably not. He's probably going to get at least 2 guaranteed years out of that. When it comes to PJ Tucker, are you willing to go out there and spend that money for a guy that will be obviously an impact defensively and be that dog, if you will, on the defensive end of the court?
Yeah, PJ Tucker is the reason I had this conversation with one of our supervising producers today, because it felt a little desperate with that 3 years. You mentioned him, 37 years old. The end of the season came, and you heard numerous Sixers, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Doc Rivers, we got to get that dog. Every team's got that dog. They've got that mentality player who just goes out there and does the little thing. PJ Tucker is that guy. He's that guy. We saw that. You've seen that for years. Kyle Lowry's that guy. Marcus Smart's that guy. Draymond Green's that guy. Every team has one. Every team that's a winning team has one. So the Sixers recognize we need that guy. We had that guy in Jimmy Butler. He's gone now. We need to try to get him back. That's where the chasing started. I was like, 3 years for a guy that's 37 that's going to give you almost nothing offensively in the playoffs. That's a dangerous kind of proposition. Do they need a guy like PJ Tucker? Absolutely. Would it be great if they got PJ Tucker for 1, maybe 2 years? Great. Also, if it's a team option, sign me up. But I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. There's no way PJ Tucker signs a deal that's not at least 2 years guaranteed. I mean, why would he? He has the market. He is in the catbird seat, and he knows teams want him. He has that mentality that teams want. Successful teams think that's going to take them to the next level. And that's what the Sixers know they need. They need a couple other things, but they know they have to have that guy that does the dirty work, the little things. Because let's face it, when the chips are down, someone that's doing the dirty work sometimes, as far as like getting down there, rubbing elbows and chasing after loose balls. Sometimes Joel Embiid, and that is the number one player you do not want to be falling on the floor, chasing after balls, doing any of that stuff. So you need to have a guy that can do that for you. So, I mean, I like the idea of PJ Tucker. I don't love the 3 years, $30 million. You could give me 3 years, $10 million. It wouldn't matter. It's the 3-year deal of as far, and I understand why he's looking for that. I think a 2-year deal is probably, 2 years, $18 million, I think is a fair deal for him. I think that's something you could work with. It gives you a little bit of room as well. And he gives you that guy. He's a veteran presence, which is great, but you have to think about what else you have on this team. You've got some scoring, but you can't have he's a zero sometimes on offense. Let's just face it. You look at the box score in the playoffs. He had some good games, but most of the games, he's not giving you much.
Sure. And a guy that I look at that doesn't really give you a lot. At least he will cut to the basket and get you some points that way. Matisse Thybulle, the 3 part of the 3 and D obviously hasn't come around just yet for him. And when it comes to that window, I know the Sixers are rather impatient, as a lot of people are. They don't want to wait for him to finally develop that part of his game. So the story that's out there is Matisse Thybulle's a big part of this trade, along with the 23rd overall pick, and they're shopping that around. They're saying right now the reports are that, they're not just going to do it for a salary dump, which is good because Thybulle's not making all that much money anyway. But what's real to you in terms of trading away a Thybulle and that 23rd overall pick? What could the Sixers possibly get in return that would be worth it?
Yeah, that's such an interesting scenario because you had the report that came out the other day about Matisse Thybulle's in the gym and, he's really working on his game. And I'm like, I'm sure he is. So is Ben Simmons.
Right.
So it's like, if you haven't developed it by now, are you going to be that guy? And there's a lot of people, obviously, that do covet Matisse Thybulle's defense. I think his stock dropped. Marc Jackson actually talked about this quite a bit on our Matisse Thybulle Blueprint edition. His stock dropped quite a bit. Not really necessarily with the vaccination stuff, but you saw him in the playoffs. He was exposed against the Heat. He just didn't play as well. And then obviously he was out of his rhythm for the Raptors series because he wasn't playing the games in Toronto. So the playoffs, that's where you make your money. That's where you can really, get that extra, whatever it is, in this case, maybe $10 million. I think he cost himself quite a bit. And he cost himself a lot of, people used to defend him, I think, in Philadelphia. Oh, you don't understand. He's like, the first-rate defender. And it's like, well, that's not enough. Like, you need to give us more because we're not seeing it. So in terms of what you can get, the 23rd overall pick, I think there's a lot of value in the back half of this draft. More than maybe people think. It's a pretty deep draft. I look at the top couple guys. I'm like, yeah, there's some super talented guys. But then you go through and there's some really, really good players who could help teams, I think, almost right away. So I think trading it, it just depends on who you think that you might be, marketing to. It's going to be, you're going to be marketing the 23rd pick and then throwing in Matisse Thybulle as well.
Right.
Maybe a year ago, that wouldn't have been the case. So I'm not exactly sure what they could get with that package, but I would think they should be able to get, if they want to move up in the draft, they certainly should be able to get into the teens. I would think with that easily, if that's something they're interested in. As far as an actual player, I don't know. I would have to look at the salaries to see what might be comparable as far as if it is a salary, if it's not a salary dump, if it is like, something that they're thinking about.
Right.
Yeah,
would Eric Gordon be a guy you'd be interested in?
Yeah. You had mentioned his name and I had forgotten that had come up. Yes and no. I don't know that he gives me exactly what the Sixers need. Let's face it, the Sixers need that junkyard dog type of mentality player, right? They also need, and I feel like I'm just a broken record, they need a 3-and-D guy.
Sure.
Here we are. They need a guy that can knock down that three. I feel like you and I talk about this. It's like Flyers need a goalie, the Eagles need a linebacker. Guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what the Sixers need? So
are the Phillies going to get a bullpen? Is that going to be one of the other perennial problems?
The closer. So it's kind of the same thing here over and over again in Philadelphia. But they have to find that wing three. I think player. It's just you saw that so much. Bench depth is important, but Eric Gordon would solve some of the problems. I would have to look a little bit more at him just to see, because I feel like his fit sometimes on teams it makes his season not as good as it could be, because I think he is a pretty talented player. But then you look at some of the if you go through his stats and you're thinking, oh, that was he injured? What was going on there? Maybe sometimes they didn't utilize him correctly, or maybe just the fit on that team wasn't right. So I would be interested to see how the Sixers would want to utilize him if it's just going to be free reign. Like, listen, you spot up and you get the green light, you go, and we know he's a pretty good defender. So I think that would be a good trade-off. But I'm a little bit trepidatious because I think some of his offensive game is falling off just a bit.
All right. A lot of people want the Sixers to potentially go star hunting again. It's a phrase coined by our own Brett Brown, right? Our old friend.
Guy.
Yeah. Oh, I miss the voice. Boy, do I miss the voice.
Right?
Star hunting.
Okafor.
Jaw. All right. Anyway, when it comes to potentially adding a Bradley Beal, maybe, possibly, somehow, do you think the Sixers are going to be that aggressive this offseason, or do you think they'll continue to depend on James Harden being a lot better than he was last year with a better hamstring, still a little older, and Tyrese Maxey taking a step forward? Do you think they're essentially just going to be looking for those dogs and those glue guys supporting cast members, or do you think they're going to be extra aggressive and maybe go after a Bradley Beal?
I think they're going to be aggressive. I think seeing who else is in the market for Bradley Beal, when you hear the Celtics might be interested out there, that certainly would make you, I think, more aggressive if I was the Sixers. But yeah, I mean, Daryl Morey has been known to be, listen, he wants James Harden. He got James Harden. If he wants a guy, he's going to do everything he can. But you mentioned the scenario, can they bring in Bradley Beal with having everybody else? I mean, salary-wise, no. Like, that would just be a massive, massive undertaking. They would be way over. Like, it would just be crazy. But they love James Harden. Doc Rivers loves James Harden. They believe that the hamstring and only 21 regular season games was probably one of the reasons that, everything kind of wheels fell off at the end. I hope that's the case. I don't know that to be true, but certainly there's probably some stock in that idea. Morey loves James Harden. So is he going to shop around for a Bradley Beal, a giant star, at the expense of one of his favorite players? No. But I think that they really, really do covet Bradley Beal. And why not? I mean, when you think about offensive output, he is absolutely a quintessential player who could fit right in and help this team tomorrow. He is a walking bucket. He's a walking bucket. That's what he does. And I don't think that his style of play would inhibit Tyrese Maxey's growth. Obviously, it would change James Harden once again. He would really become much more of a facilitator. And so that would be something that they would have to, I would think, agree with him on if they were able to bring in all the, I mean, these are massive contracts that we're talking about too. I mean, Beal is a max player and Joel Embiid's a max player. We already know $47 million is going to James Harden. So Tobias Harris is a max player. This is a ton of money.
That's a lot of money they're throwing around.
Yeah, Harris would probably have to be on the move, I would think, in this scenario just to make it work. But even then, it would still be over. But I don't think Bradley Beal going into the fold would mess up Maxey. It would be interesting to see him with James Harden because, I mean, you don't want to mess up Maxey. That was the biggest revelation of this entire last season was, oh, Ben Simmons isn't here? Who cares? Look at this guy.
Right.
We would never have known that guy had in it. But I mean, Bradley Beal is a guy that is a lot of people are going to covet. And up until maybe 2 weeks ago, everybody thought he was going to be still with the Wizards. But now it's like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Let's talk about that 23rd pick and just one name in particular. And I doubt he'll be there. He might be a lottery guy. He might be just outside the lottery guy. And it's just a name that I'm bringing up for two reasons. One, because I know you love him. Two, because it's just fun to say Ty Washington. What can you tell me about Kentucky's point guard, Ty Washington? Ty Washington. Well, he's actually a junior. His name is Tyler Jr., and he thought that sounded like an 8-year-old kid, so he went with Ty. Ty to sound older.
Yep, yeah. So that was the reasoning behind that, which I love. And of course, he said it with a straight face. I wasn't there at the media day when he said that, but I would imagine people were like, what?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, Tyler Jr.
Yes.
That's too juvenile. Ty's the man.
Amy, you're a professional media person. You go to press conferences. You're obviously in the mix. You got one-on-one interviews, and you are such a Wildcat fan that you will actually watch Kentucky Media Day. Is this correct?
Yes.
God bless you.
Can't deny it. Can't deny it. It's quite the to do.
Oh yeah.
It's quite the to do.
Oh, God bless you.
There's not a whole lot going on there. Bourbon, basketballs, some horse racing, a little bit of football. And did I mention basketball?
A little bourbon? Little bourbon?
Little bourbon? Little bourbon? You know about bourbon.
I will, a thing or two. Amy, we haven't done. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I like Ty.
Okay.
I
Actual basketball. Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
He's got the speed. He is a good combo guard. I think it was funny. I was talking to Paul Hudrick recently, who I know you've had on, and he had texted me. He's like, "Do you think his ceiling is Rod Strickland?" And I was like, "Whoa." Ooh. Rod Strickland, to me, does not get the flowers that he deserves. I think you look back now and realize how good Rod Strickland was. But at the time, man never made an all-star game. That's criminal. That's ridiculous. He was a very good point guard. I was thinking more like a Andre Miller with more speed.
Okay.
Reggie Jackson, good players. But when he said Rod Strickland, I was like, wow, like that would be something.
That's a high praise.
Really good. Yeah, he's got really good speed. Obviously, I think that would help the Sixers because we know how they are in pace, which is like dead last almost. And he's a good 3-point shooter. I think he can get better. His problem is a little bit on the defensive end. His footwork isn't quite there yet, but it's hard, and he makes some of the mistakes. He's sometimes prone to turnovers, but it's hard to look at like a 19-year-old kid and say, oh, not everybody's LeBron James coming out that was, already a full-blown NBA player by the time they were 18. So I don't think he'll be there at 23. I think he's probably a late teens, 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. Maybe even back half of the lottery because he does have a lot of upside. People saw that. His first step is pretty impressive. He does have that quickness that he can get by some guys. So I'll be interested to see him at the next level. But if, I think that they have to go looking for, I think that's why they're shopping the 23 round because there's no one that they're looking like, I've got to have that guy. If somebody falls in their lap like Tyrese Maxey did a couple of years ago, obviously they'll snatch him up.
Right. Another Kentucky guy.
That's so weird, isn't it?
Is that crazy? Is that?
There's a lot of them. I didn't know if you knew that. You only go to school for 1 year, so you barely learn their names. Fun fact.
Amy, we haven't done this in your handful of appearances on the show. We haven't done this, and I have to do this because I don't believe we get an opportunity to do this with too many of the ladies. So would you indulge us and take part in the Farzy 5 real quick with us?
Yeah, you know it.
All right, here we go. Let me just bring in the band, guys. Oh, wow.
Strong.
You guys, they get more aggressive. They're like Daryl Morey in the offseason. More aggressive. Best job before your TV job, Amy. Best job before you were ever in TV. And don't say that Baltimore station where you were up against Judge Judy or something, whatever it was.
Listen, that was awesome. So you loved WBFF, Best Friends Forever, Fox, down in Baltimore, your favorite television station. So before I even got into television, which is literally the only job I've ever had as a working professional, like out of college, but I worked in high school. I worked at an apothecary. And for those of you who don't know what that is, Google it. It's basically a pharmacy that's got the counter where you can go get cheesesteaks, and I would make limeades and milkshakes by hand, like old school, people sitting at the stools in the front. It was straight out of the 50s, and it was fun. And I would make fried bologna sandwiches for all the construction workers. That was their favorite thing. It is the most disgusting, yet apparently delicious thing to make. It was basically like a 2-inch thick cut of bologna. You just throw it in the deep fryer till it floated.
And just you grew up south of the Mason-Dixon line, obviously.
I did, oddly enough. That didn't give it away. Down there in Virginia.
Go-to fast food place.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell?
Taco Bell. Like Chick-fil-A, but I don't even consider that fast food because it's just so delicious. But Taco Bell. If I pass a Taco Bell,
muy bueno.
Over.
Muy bueno. Okay, you're happily married. I know your husband well, Sean, great guy. But in your dating days, what was a first date deal breaker? Help the fellas out. What shouldn't they do on a first date? First date deal breaker.
Just table manners. Being polite is number one for me. So don't be rude to the server. Don't be rude to any like staff members. I've definitely been out there and they're like, oh, the service is terrible. I'm like, oh, you've clearly never waited tables. So.
That's great. Something tells me that was the uniform, though. Jorts and a little tank top there of the guys that would buy your fried bologna sandwiches.
They did with their construction boots on.
Right. Oh, there you go.
I
Favorite
put
city?
mayonnaise on it too.
Oh,
Delicious.
all right.
Why wouldn't you? It's already deep fried.
Um,
So good.
piece of lettuce and a Diet Coke. Anyway,
Yeah.
favorite city to travel to?
Chicago. In the summer only, though.
Okay, good. Yeah, I got you. And then finally, Amy, I got to say this. You're the nicest person I ever met in my life that I'm not blood related to. What makes you beep your horn in traffic, though?
Ooh, beat my horn in traffic.
Yeah. What makes you really lay on that horn, Amy?
Slow drivers.
Oh,
Gotta get a move on. Let's go.
the old hustle up. All right.
Hey, hustle up there, guys. That says 35, so we want to go like, I don't know, 35 minimum, maybe 40.
That's Fast Five right there. That's the Farzy Five with the great Amy Fadool. Guys, you can, thank you. Till next time. Thank you,
Great
guys.
job, guys.
Great job. They just, you love the blueprint? No. Zeke in the back, the drummer, love the blueprint. What more? You hear that? Okay. What more draft coverage do we have coming up, NBC Sports Philly, as far as the Sixers going here?
So obviously, on draft night will be. We can't break into programming as much fun as that would be for the Phillies game, especially as the way they've been playing the last couple of games. But all online, NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, and on Twitter, and on Facebook, and on our YouTube, we will be breaking in with any news as soon as the pick happens. Marc Jackson and I will be there to break it down. We've got lots of footage of all the potential players, obviously, and then trades. And then Friday we'll have live the press conference of hopefully the draft pick, and then going forward I'll have hopefully a one-on-one sit down with draft pick, and definitely either with Daryl Morey or Doc Rivers coming up on Friday and over the weekend.
Excellent. Make sure you're following Amy Fadool across all social media platforms and watching on NBC Sports Philadelphia, the My Teams app, NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, and all that fine stuff. Amy, always great catching up with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.
Thank you.
Favorite guest. Everybody else is just not having it the way Amy Fadool is. Tell you that much. Oh, we're still on. Amy, thank you. Amy Fadool is so awesome. Thank you to Amy Fadool for joining us. Amy Fadool, of course, NBC Sports Philadelphia, Sixers halftime, post-game host, Amy Fadool. And, of course, make sure you guys check out some clips of the blueprint with her and Marc Jackson as well. I got to move things along here. So let's tell you this. Rothman Orthopaedics bring us our fine guests. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Push will come to shove tonight for the Versus Game app. Find this in the Google Play Store or App Store. Download the Versus Game app. Follow at Farzy Show and answer all the piping hot questions that we ask. Like tonight's question. The question really been all week. Will the 76ers make a pick for themselves there at number 23? Or will they trade the rights to that pick away? Will the Sixers make a pick at 23? Or will they trade it away? Yes or no? It's always binary. Download the Versus Game app. And maybe the next question will be, will Nick Castellanos go a full month without hitting a home run? Maybe that'll be the next question. But find out on the Versus Game app. How about Freestone Farm CBD? You like it a CBD? I like it a CBD. Freestone Farm CBD. FreestoneFarmCBD.com. The menu is something you'll absolutely have to check out. And how about this? If you like CBD, how about 20% off your CBD when you use promo code Farzy at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. That's FreestoneFarmCBD.com. When you check out the menu, you have to see their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and a super CBD, which is a half Hindu Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys are absolutely insane. Enjoy yourself. It's absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar as well. Promo code Farzy at Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Also, let's give a shout out to PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's move into our chat check. Well, piping hot takes in the chat check today. Want to make sure I get all yous guys. April, good morning. Sean, good morning. Sean, tacos for all might work. I'm in. Mally, I'm going to say it. Can we please trade Rhys Hoskins? I'm done with that guy. Tyvita, not Hoskins. My dad would love to trade Rhys Hoskins. My cousin Ron would like to trade Rhys Hoskins. My cousin Greg Gregotz. He'd love to trade Rhys Hoskins. Pots and pans. I know I'm not so much in on the Rhys Hoskins trade. Like, I'm not sure what you're getting yet. I would wait till one of his hot streaks if you're going to trade him at all, but I don't think the Phillies are trading him. I think the Phillies look at Rhys Hoskins for a lineup like they looked at Aaron Nola as a starting pitcher, like homegrown talent. We're not moving on from that. They got Hoskins at first. They got Nola as a starter and Sir Anthony Dominguez as a soon-to-be closer. Hopefully. But Dan Schwartz, what's up, Danny? Good morning to you. Good morning to Sean Gillespie. I'm not off the Thompson train yet. Please, just get ready for the Braves. Cross your fingers. I agree. Mickey, yo, everybody. God bless you and keep you all. Oh, well, thank you, Mickey. Same to you. Who's excited about tonight's draft? Mickey, I'm excited to see the Sixers make a trade before the draft. Like, I have my notifications set for Woj, and I am waiting for that text to come up on my phone, for that tweet to come up on my phone that says the 76ers have traded Matisse Thybulle or Danny Green or whatever, and they've traded that in the 23rd overall pick for Eric Gordon. Just as an example. Mally, Mark, you need that Hindu Kush and some espresso. Relax, my guy. You ever tell someone who's passionate to calm down? My favorite response. Hey, why don't you calm down? I'm calm! That's my favorite thing. Anyway. I had one espresso today. Usually I've got two by the time I start the show. I've scaled back. I've had one. And probably four throughout the day because the kids are sick. My oldest isn't feeling so hot. So hopefully she'll be able to take a little bit of nap today, and hopefully Daddy can take a nap too. Appreciate the honesty in all of its colors. Looking forward to the aftermath tomorrow morning. Okay. Hey, Mickey, I assume that it has to do with this, the draft. Harper has been raking since last year and hasn't stopped. Mally, you're right. Tyvita, espresso doesn't help you relax. He needs sleepy time tea. That's true. I have had sleepy time tea, and it's no match for this energy. I know, but Mark is an espresso man. That is true. You will never find me more relaxed in the world. Do I have an espresso cup here? I don't. You'll never find me more relaxed in the world than when I'm like that. I'm sitting here, right? I got my espresso. All right, let's just say this is espresso, but it's not. I'll use my thing here, whatever the hell this is. You'll never find me more relaxed than this. For the people on the podcast, I'm reclining in my chair. Here we go. Just like this, and then I'm just kind of like looking around. Give the espresso a little stir. Then look around in judgment. Which, by the way, when I was over there in like Paris land, right? When I was over there in France and stuff, I really found it hilarious. One stereotype that was definitely true. Like, everyone was really nice. Everyone told me everyone was going to be a jerk. They weren't. They were great. But the judgmental seating, like if you've ever driven by or eaten at Park, I've never eaten at Park at Rittenhouse Square in Philly. But like that whole scene is 100% true. People sit next to each other to look out on the park and people watch and I'm sure judge the hell out of people. That was all true. That's me when I have an espresso. I just sit back and I just like kind of stare into the distance. I look like a creeper is what I'm telling you. I look like a total creeper. Dan Schwartz, the only thing that's going well is Marc's shirts. Thank you. I'm glad they warm your heart. Mally, I think Marc is that celebrity status where he never wears the same shirt twice. In all honesty, I basically pick a uniform for summer and winter, and I wear that all the time. I wash it, but I basically pick a uniform. I'm like a Steve Jobs, kind of. Just wear the same thing. Why have mental exhaustion? Decision fatigue is what it's called, I think. Yes, Mickey Diaz. PJ is the producer of the Farzy show. That is correct. I did notice when Amy signed on that her and I had the same shirt, and I was like, is this a Carolina blue or a Kentucky blue? I'm not sure. Sean Gillespie Tucker is 37 years old. Come on. Yeah, he is eld. He is definitely eld. 37-year-old basketball player. That's true. Tyvita, Ty. I thought I had a weird name. No, Tyvita, you have a wonderful name. Mr. Wing. Hello, Mr. Wing. Trade Embiid. We will either be saying this a year from now or in 2 years. This team isn't good enough to blow it up. I'm not trading Embiid just yet. I know that's become a thing. Sean Gillespie. Fried bologna sandwiches with cheese. Priceless. Okay, I'll have one. People calling out loyalty on the old Tyvita. As much as I want to be fair to Embiid, I'm going to have to say, no, never trade that man. I'm picking my loyalty to my Sixers over everything. Mr. Wing, it has nothing to do with loyalty. He's hurt all the time and mopes around when he is healthy, I guess, or when he's hurt. Harden is washed and the team is slow. I'm giving this one more year before I light a match, folks. That's what I'm doing. One more year. Jim Grassmeter, $10 million for Tucker for what? 2 to 3 corner threes a game? No, for that hard-nosed defense. Ray Fitzgerald, he'll be asking at the end of this year at the Sixers, do nothing. Wait. I'm confused on that. My apologies, Ray. Embiid also should stop calling himself the process. That damn stupid, that damn stupid so-called strategy. Yeah, I mean, I think we're paying for it now, unfortunately. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Big fan of all yous guys. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars. SkyMotorcars.com. 9:40 start time tonight for the Phillies. Ranger Suarez gets the start for the Phils. I want to say this. Jalen Ferguson, who passed away for the Ravens, I wanted to make sure I gave him respect today and mentioned him as well as Tony Saragusa. Tony Saragusa, I thought he passed away yesterday, if you haven't heard yet, at the age of 55, in his sleep, reportedly. And we're still waiting to see exactly how he passed or what was the cause of death. But I always really enjoyed Tony Saragusa. As a player, I enjoyed him. I thought he was a great player. I enjoyed him for his overall look because he looks like my dad's brother. He could be my dad's brother. And I always enjoyed his style. And I know his style was a bit of a lightning rod as a broadcaster, and he did it for 15-plus years. And people were like, it's annoying, or he was great. I was in the category I thought he was great. I loved him. And I thought he never got his just due. I thought Tony Saragusa should have been in the broadcast booth, not on the sideline. I thought he could have added a lot of insight to the game, a lot of humor to the game, and a lot of fun to the game in a similar way to, not at the level of, but a similar way of a John Madden, where he could go X's and O's, but he could also talk to you about the pork chop he just had in the parking lot or whatever. I really enjoyed his style. I thought he was a hell of a football player, a champion, obviously, with the 01 Ravens. And I have missed his broadcast and will miss knowing that he's still out there in the world. So my respect to his family, to Tony Saragusa and Jalen Ferguson as well. Gone too soon, the both of them. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hopefully the Phillies bring us a win and get off the schneid of a 3-game losing streak, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully Nick Castellanos hits the baseball. That'd be fun. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, DestinationRetirement.com at the Steven Singer Studios. Jim Hyden produced the program. PJ. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy.